Hello students, welcome to the EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Rashmi Sharma, Head of the Department OB and HR, Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Delhi. Today we will learn the module Ethics, Justice and Fair Treatment. This module is from the paper Contemporary Issues in Human Resource Management and Future Trends. The learning outcomes of this module would be Introduction to Ethics, Moral Theories, Judging Morality and Ethics, Professional Ethics, what are the ethical issues in HRM, Organization and the individual while tackling ethical issues, and fostering ethical behavior. After completing this module, the students will be able to learn about the significance of cross ethics, justice, fair treatment, study the various moral theories, and learn about how to foster ethical behavior in the organization. The word ethics is derived from a Greek word, that's ethikos, which means relating to one's character. Ethics refers to the standards of behavior that tells us how people ought to react when they find themselves in various situations as friends, parents, citizens, or business people. Ethics are the moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. Ethics can also be called moral philosophy. It is the discipline concerned with what is morally good and bad, right and wrong. The term is also applied to any system or theory of moral values or principles. Ethics is a branch of philosophy that investigates what is the correct course of action when a person is faced with a particular situation or a circumstance. Ethics effectively seeks to define the concepts such as good and evil, right and wrong, virtue and vice, justice and crime, and answer the questions of human morality. There are three major areas of ethical studies, that is meta-ethics. It's the source of philosophical ethics that examines the nature and ground of ethical beliefs. It includes the study of concepts such as rights, good, responsibility, etc. Normative ethics is the division of ethics that aims to formulate standards or principles of human conduct, that is, ethical norms. Applied ethics is a branch of ethics which is concerned with the possible actions and the best choice amongst those actions in a specific situation or a circumstance. In this diagram, we can see that ethics are two types, meta-ethics and normative. Practical ethics and ethical theory forms under the normative ethics. Duty and virtue ethics are part of the ethical theory. Consequential and deontological forms as part of the duty. Egoism and Kantism is part of deontological duty, while utilitarian and egoist are part of consequential duty. Pluralistic and hedonistic are two types of utilitarian culture. There are four main theories in ethical practices. These are utilitarian theory, which was founded by Jeremy Bentham. This theory says that the cost and benefits imposed on the society by any action or policy should be on the basis for the evaluation of the said action or policy. Therefore, according to this theory, the plans, action and policies of any organization should be decided by the greatest benefit for the largest number of people affected that can be produced. According to the utilitarian theory, we examine those aspects of action that will assist in validating the authenticity of these actions. Finding the alternatives for the proposed course of action pertinent to the situation at hand, to do a cost-benefit analysis, both direct and indirect costs and benefits should be taken into account, and of course of the action and all possible alternatives. Pick the course of action that leads to the greatest benefit to the highest number of people. The theory of rights and duties states that all people have certain basic intrinsic rights that will help the individual to choose, pursue, and protect his interest. These rights are usually accompanied by correlated duties, that is, rights and duties which are conjoint factors. Thus, understanding the relationship between rights and duties and their corresponding relationship to the situation is vital to comprehend the ethnicality of the situation. There are two types of rights: legal rights and moral rights. Legal rights are bestowed upon a person by the states of law or the constitution of a country. Example: right to vote, freedom of speech, right to property. Moral rights are the rights of an individual that arise from the social norms and moral standards. They are free from any legal system, that is, right to education, right to work, right to life. Duties are either contractual responsibilities or reciprocally understood responsibilities. Contractual rights and contractual duties result from two or more parties entering into an agreement for an explicit objective. These kinds of rights are restricted by the terms of the contract and the duties are limited by the associated rights. These kinds of rights and duties are not universal by nature but are limited by the contract, which results in the formation of these rights and duties. In order to give rise to contractual rights and correlated duties, the contract must have stipulation for remunerations and benefits. These rights and duties can only be imposed if the obligation stipulated in the contract comes under the purview of the openly established legal system. The theory of justice is derived from and revolves around the basic principle to guaranteeing a just and morally acceptable decision, that is, actions are influenced by the principles of justice and fairness. Justice in society generally means legal justice, which is the right of all individuals, but there are some cases where even when the issue is not covered under legal justice, but it comes under the purview of moral justice. Justice demands equal treatment of the two parties under similar conditions. Justice can be further divided into three categories: distributive justice, which looks towards the equal distribution of burdens and benefits that are associated with the situation or an activity involving two or more parties. Egalitarianism is an offshoot of distributive justice. It promotes equal rights and duties for all human beings. Retributive justice refers to an action as either penalty or rewards that is equivalent to the action that resulted in the reward or punishment being meted out. Compensatory justice refers to a corrective action that should be taken to maintain the status quo if one party had wronged the other. Ethics of care refers to being a good citizen and the general well-being of society, which entails taking care of those whom you love and care about while simultaneously working and earning a living. As discussed previously, The morality of a certain action can be determined on the basis of 4 factors, that are utility, rights, justice and care. Each of these factors have their own view on the ethicality and righteousness and points at a significant trait of morality. We must gather steps and information about the issues at hand, which is the first step. They should be factual and relevant to the issue. Step 2. Apply those moral standards. Does the action or decision maximize the satisfaction of all the constituents, that is utility? Does it respect the rights and duties of an individual affected or involved, that is rights and duties? Is it consistent with the rules justice, that is justice? Is it consistent and in agreement with the responsibility of care, that is ethics of care? In step 3, we will decide on the weightage as per the situation. Keeping in view the moral rights cannot be taken away and justice must be equitable. Step 4 is applying moral judgment. If none prevails as per the standards, the issue is not moral and ethical. But if it is yes on all the counts, the issue is ethical and moral. If yes on utility but no in moral rights, it's not ethical at all. But if it is yes on rights and justice but no on others, it is ethical. If yes on care only and no on others, it is not ethical. Now let us understand what exactly are the professional ethics. The term professional ethics refers to the professional standards that the professionals are expected to demonstrate and follow. Irrespective of where they work and the capacity in which they work, their actions, ethical and moral as well as unethical and immoral. There is a profound effect on the people around them and on the society as a whole. The ethical and moral actions of professionals can have a positive effect and can benefit the community, whereas unethical actions have a negative and adverse effect on the society. In order to safeguard the society from the unethical actions of the professional, the government tries to keep a regulation and moderates their action using the law and regulations as well as the regulatory bodies. While the concept of ethical behavior of professionals is very old in society, it has recently gained importance in the modern world. In the business world, the importance of ethics is becoming more and more important, especially in the face of recent scams and scandals, as we have also heard about the Satyam scam. While in the past, the effects of unethical behavior were confined to a localized area, but in the current area of globalization and technology, where the world is rapidly shrinking, these actions are having a long-reaching and devastating effects. In India, there are 2 checks in places given by the government in order to curb the unethical behavior and practices in the professional world. The regulatory bodies like SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, and Department of Company Affairs are some of the regulatory bodies taking care of professional ethics. These bodies make laws and enforce the already existing laws to curb the unethical behavior. Professional establishments and institutions like IMA, that is Indian Medical Association, ICAI, that is Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and Institute of Engineers in India, are under the direction of these institutions. Professional conduct and their practices and maintain minimum ethical standards are established. Let's understand the ethical issues in human resource management. The ethical human resource management issues are generally related to the cash and compensation plans. The HR managers are often pressurized by the higher manager to be a party to different unethical practices in order to increase their compensation and incentives. These include the base salaries, that is, increase the grade in order to justify the higher salary, annual incentive plans, that is, designing and administering a higher level of incentive plan for the top management that gives more than what is deserved. Long-term incentive plan, that is, favoring the top management more than the other employees. Employee responsibilities refers to the fact that employees enjoy certain rights. These rights have corresponding duties that are attached to them. It is the ethical and moral responsibility of the employee to discharge their duties to the best of their abilities. Performance appraisal refers to the performance of the employee that has to be judged based on the effectiveness and job related skill. But some human resource managers judge based on unrelated factors like religion, caste, etc. The manager allows his own perceptions and prejudice to cloud his own objective judgment and becomes party to the unethical behavior. The performance appraisal should be based on the honest assessment of the employee in terms of effectiveness and performance. Race, gender, age and disability also has an effect on how ethically or unethically we conduct ourselves in the organizations. All employees should be treated the same regardless of any difference in age, gender, race or disability. Whether it is true that the practice of discrimination against employee based on race, age, gender and disability have largely been stopped. However, there are still some cases of discrimination which results in harassment cases at the workplace. Job description refers to making adverse decisions against employees and job applicants based on unrelated factors. Decisions that are discriminatory by nature adversely affect both the employee and the organization. In order to correct the discrimination, we must take a series of corrective intervention which are also called the affirmative actions. Some affirmative actions are hiring solely based on merit, equal pay for equal work, treating employees fairly and promotion based on merit. Safety and health are the ethical issues related to them which revolves around risk assessment and rule of government. Risk assessment on the surface looks just like a job that is best handled by technicians, but here, while making judgments, we must take into account the seriousness of the potential harm. The workers have a right to earn their living free from the ravages of job caused injury, disease or death. If the organization fails to satisfy this right, then the government has to intervene. Restructuring and layoffs are ethical implications revolving around the basis for termination and actions taken. The decisions taken should be on the basis of merit and personal preference, and perceptions should not be taken into account. Privacy issues refers to protecting one's personal life from intrusive and unwarranted action. An employee's personal life and beliefs are a private matter and should be free of snooping except for in exceptional cases. To understand the relation between ethical behavior of individuals and organizations, we need to understand the nature of organizations. Organizations can be classified into three types: rational organization, political organization, and caring organization. Rational organizations are those organizations where, for the sake of an explicit purpose or goal, the activities of the people are coordinated through the division of labor and function by the side of a ladder of authority and responsibility. Political organizations are those organizations that do not behave in a rational manner and seldom look on the formal lines of authority and responsibility. In the view of these organizations, business is a system of competition of power where formal and informal lines of communication are used for coalitions. A caring organization is a one which not only focuses on the pursuit of profit but rather with providing care to those that the organization has been formed. Rights and obligations of an individual in an organization refers to developing from the top of the pyramid and trickling down. The top management forms the core decision making body and is empowered by the organization to carry out and enforce these decisions. These managers make the decisions for hiring, firing, promotions, rewards, etc. in a private organization. The top management functions in accordance with the rules and regulations of the organization, and the employees are working in the organization of their free will and are hence required to follow the hierarchy of the organization. Thus, rights of the individual in the workplace are moral and contractual and are also restricted by the rules and regulations of the organization and the power equation within the organization. The duties of the employees are correlated to their rights. Any deviation for the specified duties is wrong and unethical to the organization. The purpose of a business is the generation of profit. If it does not generate profit, then it is failing its primary objective. Having said that, generating profits through unethical behavior is against the society that fosters its commercial activity. It is the aim of teaching ethics to make money without harming the society at large. There are several methods for fostering a culture of ethical behavior in an organization, such as establishing and disseminating a clear and unambiguous ethical code of conduct, formation of an ethics committee to judge the ethical issues and mete out appropriate penalty. Any complaint about a breach in the ethical code of conduct should not be entertained unless it is substantiated with evidence. The complainant should not be in any kind of financial duress resulting from the complaint unless the complaint was motivated by malicious intentions. Formation of an entire support system for the whistleblower and provision to protect them from any potential backslash of whistleblowing. Use of an independent and experienced mediator when the situation requires it. An appropriate appeal procedure should be in place. Whistleblowing, as we all know, is the act of raising a concern about a wrongdoing within an organization. The concern must be of a genuine nature about a crime, criminal offense, miscarriage of justice, danger to health and security or safety of individuals, or the environment of the ethical code of conduct of the organization and the cover up of any of these. A person who raises a concern about a wrongdoing in their workplace or within the NHS or social care setting is a whistleblower. If a person wishes to raise their concern, they should obtain a copy of their organization's whistleblowing policy and seek advice. The employees must be sensitized to ethical issues through regular seminars and talks. There can also be training sessions for teaching ethical awareness and how to tackle potential ethical situations. The organizational culture should foster and encourage ethical behavior. There can be rewards and recognition programmed to encourage ethical behavior. In this module, we have studied about ethics and morality. We also saw that there are three major areas of ethical studies, that is meta-ethics, normative ethics and applied ethics. We have also seen that there are several theories of ethical studies, such as the utilitarian theory, which says that the costs and benefits that are imposed on the society by any action or policy should be the basis for evaluation of said action or policy. Theory of rights and duties. This theory states that all people have certain basic intrinsic rights that will help the individual to choose, pursue and protect his or her interest. These rights are usually accompanied by correlated duties. Theory of justice. The actions are influenced by the principles of justice and fairness. Ethics of care. We also understood the steps required to judge a situation as an ethical situation. We have understood what are professional ethics and the effects unethical action of professional can have on the society and the organization. We also saw the checks and balances in place to prevent such unethical behavior by regulatory bodies like SEBI, RBI and Department of Company Affairs and professional establishments and institutions like IMA, that is Indian Medical Association, ICAI, that is Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and Institute of Engineers. We saw the various kinds of ethical dilemmas that an HR professional kind of find himself face to face with, such as like cash and compensation plans, performance appraisals, race, gender, age, disability, job discrimination, privacy issues, safety and health, restructuring and layoffs. Employee responsibilities are also one of the paramount factors. We also studied about the relationship between the ethical actions of the employees and the organization and how to foster a culture of ethical behavior in the organization. Thank you.